So Luca, let's talk about your story. So you're a young girl. Tell us a little bit about your family and sort of the lead up to this drastic decision.
Yeah, so I was, pretty standard teenager. Had a lot going on at home at the time. My parents had broken up. I was just switching into high school. I was going through puberty and all of the uncomfortable experiences that go along with that. But on top of that, I was dealing with depression, anxiety, and was a victim of being groomed and exploited online. Um, and that really led me to kind of spiral down the path of poor mental health.
Can
And
you
also,
expand on that word groomed?
yeah, groomed as in a adult predators talking to me online and getting to the point where, whether through like enticement or threats, getting me to send them things they want or talk with them
Happens
in
all
a
the
certain
time.
way.
All the
Mhm.
time. Keep going. Sorry.
But yeah, that entire experience, including how when the adults in my life did find out that that grooming was going on, led me to heavily disassociate from my body and disassociate from womanhood as a concept and my very
Yep.
like the femaleness that is my body. Um, and I just so happened to be, born at a time where the concept of, oh, you don't like your body, or oh, you don't like your period, you don't like how your body is changing during puberty, that's not normal teenage uncomfortableness. That actually means that you're a boy born in the wrong body.
Mm. Are you saying what state you're in?
I'm from Nebraska.
Okay. I mean, that's heartland. You wouldn't think, I mean, you just wouldn't think, but yes, it's happening everywhere. We covered a disturbing case out of Montana, where the child
Mhm.
was essentially wrested away from the parents who were not affirming. So you start to go down, and what was it? Was it Reddit? What were the websites that you'd like to flag for people where the most danger lurked?
It was mainly sites like Instagram, YouTube, and then at the time there was a really big just messenger app called Kik, K-I-K. I don't think it's used very much anymore. But I found out in hindsight later when I got older that that app has a massive predator problem on
Mm.
I think it got
Because
shut
what
down for
happens?
the predator
it.
problem.
Yes.
So what happens if it's going to be a male predator 99% of the time? What do? They go on these websites, and then how do they get access to you, Luca, or another girl just like you who's, just quote questioning, right? You're in this like, I don't know, maybe I'm trans. Everyone around me says that you might be if you're so you're doing your web searches, the web's repopulating things and it's pushing you. The social media companies are pushing you this stuff. But how does the predator get access to you?
It's pretty simple. Typically, when a kid is having these feelings in the first place, they are vulnerable, they are distressed, and oftentimes they don't feel like they have someone they can talk to, which puts it in a very dangerous position for a predator to come in and be like, "Oh, I will be that person you can talk to. You don't want to talk to your parents about this? Well, I can be like your parents. I care about you. I I care about you. I love you. I want to see you succeed." Stuff like that.
So this person is pretending to be a trans person who can walk you through the process, or no?
There were multiple people, but yes, there were those individuals.
Okay. And then we've heard quite a bit about this, about how we just spoke with somebody the other day about how some will encourage you to show your body or send naked pictures because you're getting out of that body. That's not really your body anyway. So, what do you care if you send me naked pictures? And young girls do it. Young girls do it who have no trans issues because predators find access to them on the internet, and then your whole life is changed. You get exploited. It's like a downward cycle. So can I ask you, you were how old when this was happening to you?
13, 14 initially.
And did your parents have any idea about this?
They found out eventually, but at the time, everything in my home life was just so incredibly chaotic that it just kind of slipped through the cracks.
Thanks to the divorce.
To the divorce, to the having to deal with my other mental health issues at the time, having to, deal with, oh, I'm going to a new school soon, just all everything in life. And just the fact that I had become consumed by spending time on my phone
Mm-hmm.
did just kind of unfortunately slip through the cracks. And that's where
And
those predators were able to take hold.
and I'm not blaming your parents at all because this happened to a lot of parents, but I do think it's important to figure out exactly what went wrong. And the social media, that's a problem, right? I mean, explain how big that became in your life and your transition.
It became where I was spending the majority of my free time once I was like home from school in one way or another online. Um, whether that be just watching YouTube all the time or, going on these other social media apps like Instagram, it really became an all consuming thing, especially when I was dealing with stuff like depression at the time. And it was so much easier to just sit in bed and scroll on my phone rather than, get up.
Yep. This is again a Lucas story is told in Mary Margaret Olohan's new book, Detrans: True Stories of Escaping the Gender Ideology Cult. It comes out later in May. You can buy it now to support both of these women. Dr. Laura, who follows me on the air at SiriusXM, who's got a lifetime of being a child and family therapist, always says, divorce can have real consequences. It is not this frivolous thing that you get married, you get divorced. There are real consequences to children in a mom and a dad deciding to separate like this, especially at an already tender age of 12 or 13. And she also, by the way, not for nothing, says the same thing about changing your child's school. It's a very drastic thing to do with a kid and should not be entered into lightly at all. So you are having all this, plus you said you had mental health issues. These things made you prime for exploitation and to be misguided. What you needed was a group of professionals who cared about you, who were not pushing an ideology. And I can only imagine how angry you feel now that you didn't get that.
I look back at like my teenage self and I look at everything that was going on in my life because I essentially had the like perfect storm of comorbidities going on. Everywhere from, depression, sexual trauma, rough home life, the perfect like checklist of what should be major red flags for any professional that doesn't have this kind of agenda. And somehow this was all pushed to the side. And I think that is the most baffling part to me. The fact that all of this going on and them knowing about it, not once did they decide to push back or at least just say, hey, wait, you're going through a lot right now. Let's work on that.
So let's talk about how the medical complex got involved. So you're at this point in our story on Instagram and these other websites all the time. Your parents are not paying attention to this at the moment. And what's the next step for you in saying out loud, I quote, think I'm a boy, or, how did you start taking it next level?
So at that point, I had already been seeing the posts on my social media about like, oh, if disliking your period can be a sign that you're trans. It might mean you're a boy born in the wrong body, essentially priming with that sort of messaging about disconnect from your body or feeling uncomfortable with your body. But at the time, as my mental health was spiraling, I actually ended up doing multiple sessions in what is called a partial hospitalization program. It is a step down from inpatient. This was all during my freshman year of high school. And it was during one of those sessions that I brought up, I wonder if I'm actually a boy. And it was like I said the magic words when I brought up the gender topic. Because suddenly there was an easy explanation for professionals as to why I was struggling in all these other areas. There was an easy, essentially, band-aid to slap on top of all these other issues I was having. That would have been much harder and a much longer process to work through.
As we draw near another critical election, it's not just about casting your vote. It's about elevating your voice. I want to tell you about the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC. This is more than just a senior discount organization. They unite like-minded patriots committed to preserving our cherished values and actively opposing the leftist agenda. As AMAC's membership grows, Washington listens. Every new member strengthens this movement. If you love America, check out amac.us/Megyn. It's amac.us/MEGYN, and consider becoming a 4-year member for just $30. Best money you've ever spent. AMAC membership gives you access to the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare guidance, money-saving discounts, trusted news, sweepstakes, and more. Take advantage of their election year sale, 4 years, for just $30 by joining the over 2 million members and get your voice heard. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.